It included 17 unanswered Celtic points, while the Cavs were shooting 1 of 12. Ugh. Dennis Scott is covering the East for us and with us now from Boston in 3D. Going back to the Indy series, LeBron answered the two Pacer blowout wins with 45 and 46-point games. Do the Cavs need that kind of production tonight to win on the road?
No question about it, Matt. One thing we know about LeBron James and Griffin, B. Wood, you guys know this. LeBron had a fill out in game one. Now he's watched the tape. And I asked LeBron James to shoot around this morning, how important was it for him to get off to a fast start? He says very important. Even during the regular season, he understands when he makes his presence on the game, gets into a fast start, puts the defense at their heels. Now they worry about him a little more often, and now he's able to facilitate and find open shooters. So let's face it, in game one, those shooters got open shots early in the ball game. They just didn't go in.
Well, that's exactly right. The Cavs missed their first 14 threes, just 4 of 26 from three-point range. And as you mentioned, a lot of those misses were uncontested. If you're LeBron or you're Ty Lue, how much of game two is simply faith that the Cavs will shoot it better?
Well, they're definitely going to shoot it better because if you move the basketball and you play with LeBron James, you're going to get the shots. They were a little upset about their team defense. Early in the game, Jaylen Brown just pretty much went at Kyle Korver and got layups and easy shots and kind of set the tone. And defensively, they were getting deflection after deflection early in the ball game, and that set their transition game to get easy buckets as well. So hopefully they can take better care of the basketball as well to get the Cavs off to a better start.
3D, you mentioned the Cavaliers were upset with their defense. Is there anything they're trying to do different schematically to try to slow down Boston? Boston had their way with them offensively.
Well, I think the biggest thing, B. Wood, is be more physical. Because early in the ball game, if you looked at Terry Rozier, he picked up full court right away on George Hill. You saw guys getting in the passing lane. They were building that wall for LeBron. So it looked like he could come downhill, but the hands and feet, there's nowhere to go. So now, hopefully, if LeBron puts his imprint in the game, they can get off to a better start.
3D, Brendan's talked a little bit about the defensive versatility that Boston has with the length of their wings. They have the ability to be very switchable all throughout their lineup. What have you seen from Boston defensively, and what do you think Cleveland can do to counteract that?
Well, Griff, that's a great point. This is a copycat league, and everyone likes to switch. But when you have guys like size and you switch with a purpose, now guys are getting the passing lane and getting those deflections I spoke about earlier. And now you get out and run, you're getting the easy shots, so now you take so much pressure off your half-court offense. But let's face it, having a guy like Al Horford as an anchor, when he switches, he can guard 1 through 5, and he's blocking some big shots early in the ball game.
Dennis, other than the LeBron, the obvious advantage that the Cavaliers have, where do they feel like they have a matchup advantage?
Well, they hopefully get Kevin Love going. And I think early in the ball game, they tried to get him some post-ups, but things didn't go well. So maybe some misdirections, get him some back screens or some cross screens, getting him to the post. And B, Will, you like hearing action like that? Because now the defense is not just standing there watching. Now you can get some quick moves and maybe get to the free throw line. Maybe Kevin Love can take some of that pressure off the half-court offense.
I like you talking about the big men. I like you talking about Kevin Love. Let's keep it going with some more big men. Let's talk about Tristan Thompson. I know there's a possible lineup change, but what do you think that he can bring differently to this lineup if he is inserted into the starting lineup?
Well, Ty Lue did talk about that as well and shoot around this morning, that he liked the way Tristan Thompson's activity, keeping the ball alive, getting a couple of tip-ins on the offensive rebounds. There possibly would be a starting lineup change. He wouldn't give it to us at shoot around Ty Lue, keeping that close to the hip, but I wouldn't be surprised when you get the jump ball if Tristan Thompson's not in the starting lineup.
We should know any moment now. He's speaking to the media as you and I speak. You're missing out, 3D.
Well, I'd rather hang out with you guys more.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys.
Dennis Scott with us from Boston tonight. Guys, LeBron, Marcus Morris talked about it before the series began. He believes he's second, maybe only to Kawhi Leonard in terms of what he can do defensively on LeBron James. He walked the walk in game one. LeBron was just 3 of 10 against him for 8 points. What was he doing? What were the rest of the Celtics doing well against LeBron?
First off, let's pump our brake. We've seen this way too many times before. Guy has a good game against Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. He's the MJ stopper. He's the Kobe stopper. Now Morris is the LeBron stopper. I have a hard time believing that. LeBron James is excellent at making adjustments, but Morris is very good at being physical, getting up into LeBron, and understanding where he has help. Nobody guards LeBron one-on-one. Morris is getting into LeBron. He's being very physical And Boston is loading up behind him. He understands where to send LeBron. They have help at the elbows and boxes, and where that's almost basically like a soft trap. So Morris is doing a great job. But let's see if he can sustain this for maybe 2 or 3 more games before we give him that title as the LeBron star.
Wait, it's not just one guy guarding LeBron
James?
It's never.
When you're a star in this league, one guy normally doesn't guard. There's always normally a team effort, but one guy gets the credit.
How about their approach to switching against LeBron?
Yeah, so it's a very veteran-savvy move on Marcus's part to take the credit as being the stopper, because he knew what the game plan was going to be.
Right.
So everyone's going to get a crack at it. And again, the way they switch and the way they defend is a big part of the reason as a team they're able to cause real problems here. So what you see now is the space on this play is there. Kevin Love gets an open shot. What they're doing defensively, can we run that back? Just go back to the start of the possession?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Okay. So right here, what we're doing, you're going to see them switch. You're going to see them have Rozier then get kicked out by Horford. So Rozier is going to be recovering defensively, and he's really out of position to recover if J.R. Smith had slid to the corner and was in the space that was the most opportune for Cleveland. Here you're going to see it again. They switch. Jason Tatum is going to kick out, and Rozier is going to recover. What's really important on this, there's several different factors involved in this defensive play, and there's several different things that could happen there from an offensive perspective that Cleveland's going to have to do better. And one of those things is when the kick out begins to happen, if you're on the weak side and you're in that corner, you've got to follow Tatum up the lane. You basically have to go as Tatum goes to replace Rozier so that you're in a position to be here and a target, because this space is wide open. You can also flash to the wing here and be open. But what you can't do is what Cleveland did basically the entire first game, and that's stand still. And I think because they're doing this switching that they're doing, and because they're kicking Rozier out so that Cleveland can't attack a small, it's really created a situation where LeBron was thinking a little bit too much and reacting a little too little.
Yeah, and I had a great assistant coach in Dallas. He'd always tell me, listen, anytime your man takes their eyes off you, you should not be in the same place when he comes back to find you. Because in Dallas, so many times eyes were focused on Dirk Nowitzki, so my man would lock into him. I would slide to another area. We would always play these games on the baseline. And that's kind of similar to what Cleveland has to do with their wing players. When Tatum or Brown takes their eye off you and comes across the lane to bump Rozier out, you have to cut to the basket for a lob. You have to slide up the lane, slide to the elbow, do something different, slide to the block, do something where the defense now has to recover where you're at, because what happens is technically for a split second, they lose you. Sure. And in that split second, if you get to the right area, you can get an excellent shot. And right now, I think Ty Lue is one of the most disrespected coaches in the NBA. And so I think that he will make these adjustments.